Now, I know that some of the authors listening may have gone the route of self-publishing, right? So how does your advice, how does that differ for someone who's with a marketing agency for a New York Times bestseller versus a self-published author?
I used to work for a really large company and I was in the marketing department. And my boss handed me a $2 million budget to go out and get my product launched. And it took me a year. And so we ran these promotions, we created signage, we hired a film crew, flew out to the East Coast, and we hired actors and actresses, and whole crew to serve us food and all these things. And then I went out and talked to the major television networks and bought airtime and spent every penny of that $2 million.
Mhm.
But I was the guy standing around the water cooler complaining that how am I ever possibly going to launch this brand on a measly $2 million ad budget? Because I'm competing with Lexus and
Mhm.
Coca-Cola
Mhm.
and Budweiser, who have a $200 million ad budget. All right. So when you think about it in those terms, how many book launches do you think that I've worked on that have started with a $2 million ad budget? How many book launches, let's just take off a zero. How many book launches have I worked on with a $200,000 ad budget? How many book launches have I worked on with a $20,000 ad budget? How many launches have been done with $2,000 ad budget? And how many authors do a $200 ad budget to launch their book?
Mm.
Okay. And the question is yes to all those different budgets. There's $200 authors, there's $2,000 authors, there's $20,000 campaigns to launch a book, there's $200,000 campaigns to launch a book. And believe it or not, there are $2 million campaigns to launch a book by the real famous authors. So the first question that you have to ask yourself is what's your budget?
Mhm.
Is if you're spending $20,000 to launch your book versus $200 to launch your book, there's different options that you'll need to choose from. So the biggest question that you do need to figure out is what is the range of what I want to spend?
Right.
And as you do ask yourself that question, if you were to read number one bestseller, Book Marketing Reinvented, there's a grid in the back of the book that helps you. Actually a massive checklist that you can actually go through and decide which things are the yourself activities
Mhm.
that you can do yourself as an author and which things that you might need some help with.
Absolutely. So budget that was a great example, because even in your imagination, it's like, man, if I had a $2 million budget to promote anything, right? What could I do with that versus just taking a zero off and what we can do there? That's a powerful image you just presented for us. So thank you for that.